A lot of really crazy things going on with older movies and TV shows. This one was really baffling to me, though, because it destroys the whole point of the way this helmet looks. So this is part of the poster for Full Metal Jacket, an excellent, excellent movie. One of the best war movies ever made. You could argue it's one of the best movies ever made if you wanted to, and I would listen to it because it is a great movie. Great war movie. I love this movie. It's fantastic. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. Well, it's over on Amazon Prime, and if you take a look at this helmet here, you'll see that Born to Kill is taken off of the helmet, which is stupid because it represents the duality of man. That's why that's there, right next to a peace sign. Taking that off destroys the entire point. That was why it was stupid to do. Well, there was backlash for this, and they're restoring it. So this is a big W, in my opinion, and it's nice to be listened to, especially when what you did was incredibly stupid. Now, on to the main topic. We have the former series composer for Halo, Marty O'Donnell, out here giving interviews, and this one was really interesting. Now, if you just look at this headline, you'll see where this is going. It says the game industry is pandering now because they fear being on the wrong side of some special interest group who can be very loud and very annoying. And that really lines up with what we've been seeing recently with that Chinese game about Journey to the West and how they turned down that DEI money, and now you see IGN and PC Gamer going after them. Really hard, too, by the way. And it's funny that we learned that after seeing... It's funny that we saw that after learning about what happened with that Sweet Baby employee who was out there saying, if you don't see your company do this, take the marketing team out to dinner and let them know just how bad it'll be for them if they don't give in and start working on the DEI stuff. It's very interesting. All this is coming out now, kind of confirming what a lot of us kind of figured, that these people were getting boots on their face for this kind of shit. So Marty's out there running for the House, and he's doing interviews, and people are asking him about this stuff because it's a really big topic right now. So he went on this channel, Andrew Says, 41.5K subscribers. It's a very, very nice, respectable number. And he gave a really good interview here, and we're just going to go over a little bit of it that this article grabbed here. But he was talking to this guy. First, it was about big government, and then the system, and then the border, and then they started to get into DEI. And here's what was asked. He asked him, what are your thoughts on the topic of DEI in video games, with the host inquiring, when you were involved in games, was representation on anybody's mind? Was any of this diversity or types of characters you put in games ever a topic? And he says, no, it wasn't. And go woke, go broke. We keep seeing that happen over and over again, said O'Donnell. DEI is not diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a code word for Marxist worldview of power structures. There's so many catchwords that are being injected into the conversation. Colonialization, decolonialization, all these kinds of things. It is so far from what, especially in the entertainment business, what people should be worried about. Are you going to tell a good story? Are you going to make a good game? Are you going to do something that's compelling emotionally for people? That's fun for people. That's what creators should be concerned about. All of those things should come first. The problem is, like what he's talking about here, one, that the DEI is Marxist, which is 100% true, but him talking about how fun should come first. The story, the characters, all of that shit should come first, not filling in a blank. Pushing back against the popular narrative that prior to the 2010s, entertainment was composed solely of straight white men. He continued, we've had our share. We've had our share of, I guess I would have to say, diverse characters, but it wasn't because we needed to make sure there were a certain percentage of, fill in the blank. It was because these were like either great actors or this was going to be a great character. It was never part of our discussions. It was never part of what our discussions were about. Like, let's make sure we fill in the blanks so the game characters reflect perfectly the makeup of the society. He continues, that is such a creatively dampening way of approaching things, which is why I think the fans are rejecting this ideology. The fans don't necessarily reject movies or games because diversity or equity or inclusion kinds of things are forced into face. Certainly they don't like being preached to, but basically these are not good products at the end of the day. It's not fun to play. It's not interesting. These characters don't sound real. That's what ends up happening. People just don't like it. They're not good stories. They're not memorable. And he's 100% right. All these things need to come first. Stories, good stories, characters that are memorable and that people like. All that stuff needs to be fleshed out before you even think about putting some kind of messaging in there. That's the problem that a lot of these kind of basic writers that don't know what they're doing end up putting into their stuff. I get the feeling with modern entertainment that people sit down and try to figure out their check boxes before they even begin to try to put the story together. And that's just not how you do it. I've said this before. If you want to tell a progressive story, watch that new X-Men 97 show. That show put the characters and the plot first, and people liked it. So this is not the way to do things. And the video game industry is going to find out real quick. Hollywood's already kind of starting to roll shit back. And it seems like video games are really jumping headfirst into this now. All this stuff's been in production for years. It takes a long time to make a AAA game. It's going to get worse before it gets better. It's just how it is. Because you've got games in development right now that you're going to see in 2 years, and they're going to be hyper woke. Like that Assassin's Creed Shadows. That game's probably been in development for 2 or 3 years. And it's just now coming out. And it's coming out at the worst time when Hollywood's like losing money left and right. That's what makes it so funny. So when asked further about it, he said the answer to why they're doing this, why they keep doing it, as the host asks, it's a simple answer: fear. Fear, right? The sweet baby marketing tactic. I can't say for certain what's in everybody's mind, but I know when I was there, when I was on the board of directors at Bungie, when I talked to the higher-ups at Microsoft, there is a lot of fear, and the fear started creeping in. There is a fear that you are going to essentially get on the wrong side of some of these special interest groups, and that can be very loud and very annoying. So let's placate those people. So I would say fear is probably one of the biggest things. And he gives a really good example here about this backlash. He talks about how these C-suite executives, these people at the top, they're only looking at the bottom line. They don't really care about any of these core values that people are trying to push, and they just want to make sure they're on the right side so they don't get any kind of backlash. But what I found really interesting is this story that he shares here about his time on Halo 2 and the Arbiter character everybody likes. Well, his name was originally something else. It wasn't the Arbiter. It was going to be Dervish. But the problem was that that name sounds too close to somebody from Islamic history. And they didn't want to get any backlash, so they changed it to the Arbiter. And he didn't like that because that was an artistic choice, and it was a forced change from higher up over at Microsoft. And I thought that was interesting. I'd never heard about that before. And now, these kinds of stories coming out. Why they do that? Well, they were afraid of getting attacked by activists. And what have we seen recently? Activists attacking everybody, especially if a game company doesn't bend the knee to them. So it's been going on for a while. That, though, a little context, happened around the time of, well, I can't even say it. I'll say 9/11, the date. If it's weird, you get these little notes that YouTube will leave just because I mentioned that, and I'm not even talking about that date. It's so stupid. I'm just talking about the story and why they changed it. Today's is a little more hardcore. I mean, you see people getting mad because there's, well, for example, Ghost of Tsushima. They were furious because there's a bunch of white dudes that made the game, and that they didn't bring in a Japanese consultant, even though Japan loved the game. That's the kind of crazy shit they get mad about now. But anyway, interesting stuff. Thought I would share it with you guys. What are your thoughts on all of this? Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Check out this guy's channel. He's the one that did the interview. Andrew Says. The original video is Halo theme creator Marty O'Donnell is running for Congress. Andrew Says. So check that out. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.